Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen. Cohen, let's get into it. Only a few days left before the election. Donald Trump is spending his time dressing up like a garbage man, driving around in a garbage truck, or having someone drive him in a garbage truck after his campaign led an event where they called Puerto Ricans garbage. Not the kind of optics that you want. Also, let's pull that clip up one more time there as well. You see, as Donald Trump is walking into this truck, he's struggling to open it. His legs look like he's unable to coordinate them. Many
It's not
have
just the legs, it's also the shoulders.
Yeah, that's true. Many have speculated that he's had before mini strokes. He has dementia. There's lots of speculation and opinions out there that he's covering up something serious. I could just say, in my own opinion, if you've had someone in your life who has suffered a stroke, you recognize certain symptoms. But again, it's only an opinion. Also, just look at his color here, Michael Cohen. Look at his face right here. Just take a look at what he looks like. I mean, this is the optics that he wants. We also have a montage here of Donald Trump of other times with his.
Wait. Are you telling me that that's not a Halloween costume for one of the little Oompa Loompas?
It's not an Oompa Loompa costume. That's how he's going.
I stand corrected in my assertion.
Let me show you some other clips of him struggling to walk. Play this clip. Now, Michael Cohen, you were around Donald Trump longer than just about anyone other than perhaps his family, who can speak to tell the tale right now. Something seriously, you didn't recognize those types of things, and you've seen his behavior. You believe that there's something physically wrong with him or mentally wrong with him?
Well, I can't talk about, I'm not a medical doctor, but I have never in my life seen him walk like that. I've never seen the leg give out. And the interesting thing is it's continuously the left leg. It's not as if it's, maybe he hurt his hip or his right hip and then left. Who knows what it is, playing golf or no, this is all the same left leg. And it seems to buckle the same way. Look, he's almost 79 years old. On top of that, he's under a ton of pressure. These last 5 days mean everything to him. He knows that if he is not successful in this presidential bid, that he's going to be looking at spending the rest basically of his life in a home confinement situation, whether it'll be a jail or an actual home confinement situation. But 100% he will be held accountable, not just for what he has already been determined, the 34 counts of guilt, not just to mention the 600 million in civil penalties, but he will also be held accountable for the remaining 3, which is really 4 indictments if you include in the superseding indictment. So there's a lot that's going on with this guy.
One of the things, too, we're seeing, Cohen, is at his various events, just lots of cursing. And I know that he's someone who's very foul, very low moral, low character person, but just the idea of going to these events and not being able to, it is one of the signs sometimes people say of, getting frustrated by being unable to put words together, that Donald Trump will just say, he's running for the highest office of the land, leading the Republican Party. He'll just start saying, yeah, she's shit. She's a shit person, over. And it's like you're watching that and you're like,
yeah, that's just not normal behavior. Hey,
When
Ben,
has
am I
our
wrong? Was it the left leg or was it the right leg? Some of the folks, some of our brigaders are saying, I think it was the right leg. Is
Take
there a
this
way,
one.
Salty, though, or Jerry?
It looks like the right leg. We can play it over. I think we have the B-roll of it, so we could just kind of take take a look at which one it is. Yeah,
Yep,
that's the
I
right.
stand corrected. Brigaders, thank you for the correction. It is the right leg. Thank you.
Yeah, here's an example though of what we've been seeing at the route. I could show you dozens of these, but just trying to say a sentence, then he's like, she shit. Here, play this clip.
And this one, Kamala is further left than them. So you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've had enough, that you just can't take it anymore. We can't stand you. You're a shit vice president. The worst. You're the worst vice president. Kamala, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. You're fired. Get out.
And so there's a few things going on there too. I mean, obviously, first, when have we debased ourselves? It's the collective we, and I'm not talking about us and the brigaders, but as a country, that is acceptable behavior for a political candidate leading a major political party. Now, if we know what happens if Vice President Kamala Harris doesn't come out with the most detailed, meticulous plan. Front page, New York Times. Oh my God, freak out, flip out. But she's conducting herself at the highest level with dignity. On the other hand, you've got Donald Trump. To your point, I mean, it looks ridiculous. The whole thing looks ridiculous.
Can I go one step further here with you, Ben?
Please.
Okay. First of all, it was a stupid stunt put on by stupid people like Stephen Chung or Steve Bannon, whoever is guiding Trump in this idea that they should put on this orange and yellow vest and that they should bring him into a Trump garbage truck and have the garbage truck very much like the McDonald's. He worked at a McDonald's, but he didn't serve a damn thing. Here, he's in a garbage truck and they're driving in a parking lot in circles. Now, I would love to have been a fly. I talk about this, by the way, on my YouTube channel, where I actually go into some great depth and length, but to sort of be curt about it, they're driving in circles. And I can just imagine Trump sitting there in the passenger seat, like a little kid going, wee, wee, right? We're driving in a garbage truck. It's almost like when you were a little kid and, like you go to the fire station and they let you into the fire truck and they took you around the block and everybody's like, holy shit, I'm in a fire truck. Wee! All of a sudden, here you have Donald in a garbage truck. Maybe if he wanted to prove a point, how about if you would have gone ahead and actually picked up some garbage, put on some of those gloves too? Instead, he's got his tie going, he's got the orange, red, yellow vest, and they're driving a brand new garbage truck, because it looks brand new to me, in circles in a parking lot. This is the biggest joke I've ever seen in my life. This is one of the stupidest stunts I could imagine anybody actually trying to perpetuate.
Let me show you something that...
I mean, because really, Donald's a man of the people, right? Having somebody drive him, chauffeur him around in a garbage truck.
Let me ask the brigaders this question. Other than on the Midas Touch Network and maybe a handful of other independent media outlets, maybe, do you see the clips of Donald Trump up there cursing, the clips where Donald Trump talks about how he doesn't like to get urinated on by hookers and because he's a germaphobe as part of his campaign, that Donald Trump doesn't lead with the national anthem, the January 6th insurrection anthem that he created with insurrectionists, that plays. Donald Trump goes into churches and starts leading chants of bullshit, bullshit, and encourages the kids to start cursing. And I give it seriously. Do you see that anywhere being reported? And when did that not become news? When have we as a society of hopefully decent people say that this is just someone being someone. I will never, ever, my pledge to the Brigaders and to the Midas Might, I will never be so numb as to look away from these things. I mean, Cohen, what I'm about to show with you and the Brigaders will get no news attention, quite literally, other than the Midas Touch Network, which is growing rapidly, thankfully, because we're reporting on this. You won't see this anywhere else. Now, Donald Trump's top surrogates at the Republican National Convention, who were they? You had Hulk Hogan was one of the big ones. One of the other big ones, Amber Rose, who's one of the big kind of which is not that big, OnlyFans, where you pay to, see people naked and things like that. So Trump's surrogate, she's a surrogate, right? Trump put her on stage. The biggest day for being a Republican. This is who we are as Republicans, right? That's what they're trying to say. So here, this is a Trump surrogate doing an event at a strip club leading up to the election called, and I'm going to curse because it's newsworthy and I don't like to curse. It's called the We Fuck Trump, or We Fuck with Trump, at a strip club at the Peppermint Hippo in Las Vegas. And there's a flyer with Amber Rose grabbing her breasts, another woman sitting there named Rochelle Ryan with her breasts largely exposed and with her legs spread open. And they're doing a Trump event called the We F Trump event. Now, again, when I have to ask, as a society, by the way, if in their private life,
could you imagine something like that with Ronald Reagan? Could you imagine something like that with Gerald Ford? Can you imagine something like that with George Bush, the dad, or even George Bush, that's the son, or anybody? Could you imagine that with Abraham Lincoln? We fuck with Lincoln? That was called the Civil War.
And I'm not saying I'm out there,
Stop.
Right.
Let's call it for what it is. It's disgusting. It's inappropriate. The same thing to have, for example, Alina Habba strutting her shit up over there, and to have guys like Dan Scavino, as a speaker at this racist rally at Madison Square Garden. My friends, do you know that Dan Scavino started out as Donald Trump's caddy? Now, I have no issue with that. I know Dan Scavino very, very well, and I happen to like him as a person. He happens to be a very nice guy as a person, but then he moved up and he became the general manager because people like him. He's a very affable kind of guy. However, he got shit canned because his ability to do anything with mathematics was basically zero. So they shit canned him. Years later, he comes to my office to say, hey, I started a social media company. I'd like to work for Trump, the campaign, for free if he'll have me, because once Trump gets rid of you, he very rarely, if ever, takes you back. Now, all of a sudden, Dan Scavino is on the stage at Madison Square Garden along with Hulk Hogan, Habba, and some guy, Sid Rosenberg, or a bunch of other, fools acting so stupid, right? And this is supposed to be a rally. This is supposed to be what? This is supposed to be a rally so that you could learn more from Trump about some of the policies that he intends to, promote if and when, God forbid, 1,000,000 times he would become president? Or are you going to hear nothing but grievances and whining? Do me a favor, Ben, if you would. Give to the Brigaders the wine.
Donald Trump's whining over and over again. Oh, it's just pity me. Everyone treats. I'm your favorite president. Everybody treats me so. No one, maybe Lincoln, has been treated more unfair. No one treats me as unfair than I've ever been treated ever before. It's just a constant.
We love Ben, don't we, Brigaders? Do we not love Ben? Yes, we do. And we love Midas Touch Network because from here, from this network and from all of the podcasts and all of the shows that you find here, this is nothing but truth. And you're not getting our spin on it. Watch for yourself. His leg. Look at what we show you that took place at the racist rally. These aren't our opinions predicated on nothing. It's predicated on fact. Sorry, Ben.
No, I look, what you want to do in private, what you want to, if you like stripper clubs or whatever, like that's you. I'm not trying to shame people's private lives, but our body politique is supposed to be at its core a place where we set examples for kids, for future generations, and where we are solving problems. The politics is not supposed to be at before even getting into the areas of let's have policy discussions about whose policy is a better policy. That's where I want to be in that zone. But in politics and in positions of leadership, when you're at your workplace, this behavior doesn't work at your workplace. It's not allowed. It's unprofessional. It's off-putting. It's alienating. It doesn't make any sense. So we should be off-putting. We have to have a floor. And every day this happens, and they mean, well, that's just how Trump is.
And Donald should be off-putting. He's as heavy as ever, and I believe he's on Ozempic. I mean, he should definitively be off-putting. Can I also turn around without even making jokes here? I want to talk about the double standard for a second. Stay with me on this one, Ben, because I want to talk about the double standard, and I want our brigaders to jump in on this as well. If you agree with me, smash the blue hearts. I'm going to imagine if that was Joe Biden who went to open up the door of a garbage truck or a car or anything, and his leg buckled like that and he was walking. Remember what happened when he fell off the bicycle because he hit a pothole and so on? You remember how they were all saying that there's something cognitively wrong with him and everybody attacked Joe Biden? You don't see that with Trump. All of a sudden, it's like hands off the reality. And the reality is that he is not up to the task of being president of the United States. In fact, he's not even up to the task of opening up a door to the garbage truck.
Do you remember? I mean, we could just look back at Biden, but also right now in October, all of the coverage in 2016 on the media was Hillary Clinton. If she had a sore throat, the sore throat was the biggest story imaginable. You know, she's suffering from exhaustion. That's why in today's speech that Donald Trump gave in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Trump he's got a very finite playbook, right? Like it's the same moves over and over again, which continues to work with legacy media that just like buys into all of the stunts. I think when we come in with a new perspective, we don't buy into all of that. But, you know, Trump's new thing right now is trying to say, look how tired Kamala is. Look how exhausted she looks. Look how unwell she looks, because it's all projection about himself. Let me just show you, Cohen. Here he is on the truck, and he's asked a question about the comedian or the surrogate who went out there during a campaign event and said Puerto Rico is trash, Puerto Ricans are trash. Donald Trump could simply say, I don't agree with that. I condemn that. That's not reflective of my views. You could say any of that. But here's what Donald Trump said. Yep. Let's play the clip.
What do I don't know anything about the comedian. I don't know who he is. I've never seen him. I heard he made a statement, but it was just a statement that he made. He's a comedian. What can I tell you? I know nothing about him. I don't know why he's there. You put comedians up, and I guess he went on earlier in the show. I don't know who he is.
Should also be noted that before the event, they listed the speakers, and the list said these are the individuals who are most reflective of the MAGA movement. That's how these individuals were listed. As you've said before, Donald Trump, because you worked with Donald Trump on these events, and you've said he goes through all of the speakers, he looks at their speeches, he micromanages every aspect of it. I want you to talk about that, Cohen. We got to take our first quick break of the show. When we come back, I want you to respond to what we just saw there. I've got some other clips to show you and the Brigaders as well. I want to remind everybody about the Michael Cohen YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. Check that out. And also patreon.com/political beatdown. Patreon.com/political beatdown. Michael Cohen and I will be announcing very shortly. We will be doing one more meeting before the election with all of you. So if you just want to, talk through it with us, we're there for you. Patreon.com/political beatdown. We will be back after our first quick break.
So I just learned that you can actually buy hemp-derived THC products legally anywhere in the United States through our next partner, Soul. This podcast is actually sponsored by Soul. And Soul's new out-of-office gummies are perfectly microdosed with hemp-derived THC and CBD to give any day that chillin' on the beach vibe. I mean, the last time I had my Soul out-of-office gummy was over the weekend when I was perhaps a little too stressed after a long day of hot takes. And let me say, it was amazing. And did you know that you can now buy these hemp-derived THC products in all 50 states? Because of the 2018 Farm Bill, hemp-derived THC, it's now legal and accessible nationwide. I mean, I can't believe I didn't know that you could buy THC products online like this. So note that the out-of-office gummies, they help you get that much-needed me time at the end of the day or during the day. They're convenient and delicious. Out-of-office gummies give you the warm, the fuzzy, the euphoric microdose feeling without sending you to the moon. I mean, you could go for a jog, you could watch your favorite TV show, or you could even go head out to a party, whatever floats your boat. Soul's out-of-office gummies are perfect microdoses of THC that keep you feeling good without the anxious thoughts. And so you know, whether you're looking for a sleep aid, enhanced focus, or pain relief, Soul has all your wellness needs covered. And Soul's products are grown right here in the USA, organically farmed, and, get a load of this, gluten-free. So this holiday season, give the gift of Soul. Head to getsoul.com and use code BEAT, B-E-A-T, for 30% off your order. That's 30% off your order using code BEAT. So one last time, GetSoul, that's SOUL.com, and use code BEAT for 30% off. No man wants to lose his hair, but for men, it's actually very common. And now, with Hims, the solution is simple. Try Hims Hair Loss Solutions, and you'll be joining hundreds of thousands of subscribers who got their flow back. I mean, Hims provides access to a range of hair loss treatments that work, all from the comfort of your couch. Hims makes treating hair loss simple with doctor-trusted treatment options and clinically proven ingredients like finasteride or minoxidil that can help to regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. They offer personalized chewable, oral spray, and serum treatment options so you can find what works best for you. The process is simple and 100% online. Just answer a few questions and a medical provider will determine if treatment is right for you. And if prescribed, your treatment is sent directly to your door. Hims has hundreds and thousands of trusted subscribers. So if you feel like you're losing a part of yourself with your hair loss, just get Hims and get your confidence back. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/beat. That's HIMS.com/beat for your personalized hair loss treatment options. HIMS.com/beat. And results vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply, and see website for full details and important safety information.
Welcome back to Political Beatdown. I want to thank those pro-democracy sponsors. We recently, Midas has a Substack, and Michael Cohen and I have actually talked about starting a Political Beatdown Substack. So also let us know below if you think we should start a Political Beatdown Substack, so you can get articles also from Michael Cohen. But one of the things that we posted was, the Midas Touch Network is beating Fox in ratings on digital. So there's a place called Playboard that does the ratings. And I think we have about 1.7 million more viewers and about 300,000 more likes each day than Fox does. And we're not funded by any outside investors at all. So like the Midas Touch Substack is one way we grow. Our Patreon together, the Political Beatdown Patreon, is one way we grow. And those pro-democracy sponsors, and Cohen and I look into those products. So if you can, support them, because that helps us grow.
If you need them. If you need them, by all means.
So Cohen, I want to show you this. So as Donald Trump is denying, even knowing who this speaker was, even though now you heard it. Now it's the biggest political story out there. So you should know and address it. But Donald Trump's a malignant narcissist and won't. Here's another example of that denial that we've seen. It involves you. Here, let's play this clip.
Mr. President, did you know about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels? No. Then why did Michael Cohen make it if there was no truth or allegation?
Well, you have to ask Michael Cohen. Michael's my attorney, and you'll have to ask Michael.
Do you know where he got the money to make that payment?
No, I don't know.
I mean, look, is it not right out of the Trump playbook? The Trump playbook is immediate, deny, deny, deny. In fact, if you see that movie called The Apprentice, Roy Cohn taught him, no matter what, you always deny. You never accept accountability or responsibility, and you fight. But Ben, I'm with you 100%. He could have easily put this thing to rest and said, look, I'm the presidential candidate. I didn't read this guy's jokes. They were wrong. They were insulting. I denounced them. I think what he said was just inappropriate across the board. And I'm sorry if it hurt anybody's feelings. That wasn't the intention, etc. He's not a comic that I would ever have back. And then you call it quits. But no. I don't know who he is. I don't know anything about him. I never even heard his name. I didn't know anything. I didn't know. The same thing when he was on that airplane. Do you know why Michael Cohen paid the $130,000? I don't know anything. For a guy who's trying to be and asking you for your vote to be president of the United States, he doesn't seem to have answers for anything.
So because he's demented. I mean, and he goes around.
Well, he's just a liar.
He's a liar, but it's also like, what is appealing about stuff like this? What is attractive about a leader of a political party giving speeches in high schools in front of kids, talking about that he does not enjoy being peed on or urinated on by hookers because he's a germaphobe? In what world do you, as someone who's looking to politicians to talk to you about healthcare and veterans and foreign alliances and education, do you want to hear Social Security, which Trump's going to gut? Do you want to hear this? It's just filth. Here, just so everyone knows. All right, Ben, Play the clip.
He was with 4 hookers. You think that was good that night to go up and tell my wife, it's not true, darling, I love you very much? It's not true. Actually, that one she didn't believe because she said he's a germaphobe. He's not into that, you know? He's not into golden showers, as they say they call them. He's not. I don't like that idea. No, I didn't. I thought that would be a big problem. I was going to have a rough night, but.
They're not into the golden showers. Yeah, we all know what you're talking about. Mazel. Mazel to you. I mean, look, it's just what he does. Deny, deny, deny. He learned very early on, take no accountability, no responsibility, even when taking that responsibility or that accountability would have no detrimental effect on anything that you're trying to accomplish. But no, it's part of his pattern. It's him. It's his id, his ego, his super ego, all smashed together in one lying giant sack of shit.
So he goes to Albuquerque earlier in the day. He spoke there, and he goes and he says the following about the Hispanic and Latino community. Here, play this clip.
So I'm here for one simple reason. I like you very much, and it's good for my credentials with the Hispanic or Latino community. You know.
So he's literally saying to them, I'm in Albuquerque because this helps my credentials. Not let me talk. I mean, talk about double standards, right? Vice President Kamala Harris, the same day as Donald Trump's hate Nazi MSG rally. What's she doing? She doesn't know about what's about to happen at MSG regarding the Puerto Rican community. She's there meeting with small business owners of Puerto Rican descent, going through plans with them about how we can help, give health care to the older generation and give coverage there so you can, build your businesses. What types of tax credits would be helpful? How can we innovate? How can we give you, access to, all of these resources? Going through detailed policy proposals. Donald Trump says, I'm here because I'm trying to help my credentials with the Hispanic or Latino community. Why don't you start by apologizing for or denouncing horrific and hateful statements that call the Hispanic or Latino community, as you like to say, trash? And then the part that also, for me is, how could you let somebody, regardless of what your ethnicity is, call you trash, mock you, mock your ancestors, mock you?
Ben, he's done it to the Black community. He's done it to the Jewish community. He's done it to the Christian community. He's done it to women. He's done it to Mexicans, to Haitians, to the community from Congo. He's done it to Muslims. There is not, except for one group of individuals in this country that Donald has not at one point in time or another disparaged. And that community is the white supremacist neo-Nazi community. He just refused. I wish, Jeremy, if you have it, pull up the bullshit Donald Trump would say regarding David Duke. I have no idea who he is. I never heard of David Duke. It doesn't matter. I don't know who he is. I don't know who he is. Really? You don't know who David Duke is? That was in 2015 during the campaign. He needed to denounce David Duke. He wouldn't do that. Instead, what does he do? He comes on to say that there are good people on both sides. We're talking about the Charlottesville. Remember when the white supremacists were walking in Charlottesville with tiki torches saying Jews will not replace us? He couldn't turn around and he couldn't denounce the police officers regarding George Floyd. Couldn't even mention George Floyd's name. Enough already. It's enough. And the fact that this guy is still even remotely possible for a presidential win, what's wrong with us?
Michael Cohen, you have a daughter. You probably heard my daughter just crying a little bit in the background. You hear her right there. And to think that there are fathers out there, though, who have heard Donald Trump say that because he's rich and famous, he loves to grab women's vaginas without their consent, and he's rich and they let you do it. The fact that fathers out there would vote for someone found liable for sexual assault. Throughout this past 2 weeks, we've got 2 more victims coming forward who both also say that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein would coordinate together to try to do all of these things with these girls and women. A new story came out from the Daily Mail yesterday about a beauty pageant from 1993. And she said she would hear Donald Trump and Epstein talk about paying her to go different locations and places. Right now, this wasn't even a big story other than on the Midas Touch Network, and I think the Miami Herald covered it for one day, that out of all of the airplanes that Donald Trump could be flying around in, he's flying around in the airplane that Jeffrey Epstein used to traffic girls. Now, obviously, Epstein's, is dead, so the plane got sold to someone who is a Trumper and is now giving Donald Trump access to the plane. But Trump is flying around in the Epstein sex trafficking jet. That's a choice. There's lots of Gulfstream jets out there you could choose to rent. You're choosing to rent Epstein's jet as your main jet.
Just think about it. If you're running for the presidency of the United States, you know the story of Jeffrey Epstein. Your name is in his address book, his phone book. You know the allegations that have been brought against him. You know that he was convicted, right? And yet you're still going to get into it's just bad optics. If it's nothing more than that, let's not try to suppose, that there's something nefarious in regard to the fact that Jeffrey Epstein. So it's the optics that counts. The problem, Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about optics. He doesn't care what you think. All he cares about is himself winning this upcoming election in order to stave off accountability from the 34 counts of criminal behavior, the $600 million in civil fines, and the remaining indictments that are out there. Plain and simple. Because optics do matter.
Yeah, well, and again, for we're getting a bunch more people now joining us live. We showed in the first segment this photograph right here of Amber Rose with grabbing her breasts, and Rochelle Ryan with her legs spread open and her boobs out, promoting a event for Donald Trump. And Amber Rose is one of the top Trump surrogates, right? She got a key speaking slot at the Republican National Convention. She was one of their keynote speakers. And so she's hosting a Trump event in Vegas at the Peppermint Hippo in Las Vegas. And so when I look at this doesn't make me liberal or a progressive or whatever. When I look at that and I just go, what the hell is that? Like, I don't want that in my politics. I don't want that to be the example of what our political system is to my baby girl who's crying in the background, to all the future generations that are out there, to anybody. I mean, again, would you said it, we F with Reagan, we F with George W. Bush. Maybe that's not a good one. But whatever, I'm not okay with that. So here Donald Trump is at this event from earlier in Albuquerque again. And he does this thing where, because he shows these dementia-like symptoms, and again, I'm not a doctor, but I've spoken with many who express opinions that that's what they think this is. But again, it's just opinions. When Donald Trump loses track of what he's saying, he calls it the weave. And then he says, you see, that was the weave. I just weave. Did you see my weave? And again, as I'm watching this, I am watching an actual psychopath. Not a conservative, not a Republican. I'm actually watching a psychotic human being like a drunk you would see at a bar at like 2 a.m. saying crazy shit. And that's not political. It's just psychotic. You know, it's like the movie, it's the movie Don't Look Up that was on Netflix. It's a version of it's a version of that, right? You know, and I'm like, hello, can you see this? Can you see this? So here's the weave in action. Play this clip.
You don't take it away. He got 14 million votes in the Democrat Party. And then, oh, that sounds like a nice F-35. You know how many of them I bought? I bought a lot of them. Personally, I like the F-22 the best, by the way. But I think the F-22 is the most beautiful fighter jet ever made. But let's get back into this. That's the weave. Let's get back to the subject. You always end up in the right. You have to always end up in the right place.
Now, the reason that he's also speaking in an airport and not at another location is he has not paid his bill to New Mexico to Albuquerque. So he's doing that event at the private airport, and he brought people in because he has to fly out quickly because he owes the city $500,000. So he has the people go to the tarmac, and that's why he's there. But that's his thing too. So it's like, when he's out there saying no tax on tips, no tax on tips, I go, Google what his policy was when he was in office. Do you know what his policy was? No tips, no tips. It is that the bosses own the tips of the service workers. So your tips go to your boss. So when Donald Trump says no tax on tips, it's a tax avoidance scheme for your boss to take your tips, to call it their tips, and not pay taxes on it. Don't you think that's what Donald Trump wants to do with his own businesses? Take them, use it as an exemption. And if you don't believe me, just Google it. And if you want to know how Donald Trump's scheme was stopped in 2016, the Democrats stopped it in an omnibus bill. So this guy goes around conning people over and over again with this crap, weaving and acting like a demented psychopath. And I'm like, watch, just look at it. We'll be right back after our last quick break. Reminder, sign up for the Michael Cohen YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. We'll be right back.
Just accept irritation as a normal part of shaving? Henson Shaving asked that question, and they didn't like the answer. So you know what they did? They decided to do something about it. They brought aerospace precision to the world of shaving. I mean, their razors are manufactured in the same shop that made parts for a Mars rover and the International Space Station. That level of precision, it translates to a gentler shave for your skin. So it's not about gimmicks or moisturizing strips. It's about fundamentally changing how a razor interacts with your skin. It's time to say no to subscriptions and yes to a razor that'll last you a lifetime. So visit hensonshaving.com/beat to pick the razor for you and use code BEAT and you'll get 2 years. Listen, 2 years worth of blades free with your razor. So just make sure to add them to your cart. That's 100 free blades when you head to hensonshaving.com. That's hensonshaving.com/beat and use code BEAT.
Use code BEAT, B-E-A-T. Get your Henson shaver. Boom. Notice how smooth?
Cohen. Always smooth Michael Cohen right there. I want to share this with you as well. Donald Trump, it's also like projection as well and confession on the stage. So let me show you what he said about vice presidential picks in general. Here, play this clip.
But nothing is more dangerous than to give immense power to a weak and not very smart person, just not a smart person. We need smart. In fact, I call for it, but I would love to have it. We should have cognitive tests for anybody that runs for president and vice president. Oh, how about that guy she picked for vice president? What a loser. What a loser that one is. I mean, that guy, could you imagine? Well, she picked somebody so bad that there is a certain rule. Make them really bad and they'll never take you out, right?
Do you know why he's doing that, Ben? He still, talk about a guy with thin skin. He cannot get over the fact that Tim Walz called him and Shady Vance weirdos, and that went viral. And so every time that they come up with that whole thing, Trump has to literally say the word weird or weirdo, now referring to both Kamala Harris, but more about Tim Walz 30 times in a period of like 60 or 70 seconds. He'll just say, yeah, he's just weird. Just a weird guy. I mean, he's just a weirdo. He's just, everything about him is just weird. Am I not right? He's just weird. Just absolutely weird. Quite frankly, he's just a weird guy. And he'll go on and on about it because Tim Walz hit him right where it counts. And he cannot get over it. So imagine a guy who's president of the United States with such thin skin that somebody calls you weird or weirdo and it goes viral on X or on social media. You now make that a constant part of your campaign speech. It's unbelievable.
If people saw me looking down right now, it's not because I was trying to be disrespectful to the audience or you in any way, Michael Cohen. I just got this breaking news update and I had to read it a few times to internalize it. So Donald Trump just filed a lawsuit against CBS News. This is breaking right now over the wire for $10 billion, alleging that CBS deceptively doctored an interview with Vice President Kamala Harris on 60 Minutes. They gave the exclusive to Fox on this story. But yes, Donald Trump has filed just moments ago a $10 billion lawsuit, which is, as you know, he makes up these numbers. And I want to talk about your experience here, Michael Cohen, and get your reaction to it as well. Donald Trump sues CBS for $10 billion, alleging deceptive doctoring. This is the interview that Donald Trump was too scared to do. You'll recall with Leslie Stahl in 2020, Donald Trump literally ran away from the interview. That's when he was also trying to show Leslie his healthcare plan. Do you remember? It was
I remember
binders of blank pages, actual blank page binders. And she goes, there's nothing on them. He ran away. He ran away. So he refuses to do the interview. She does the interview. There's no doctoring at all. There's no basis for this lawsuit at all. But what does he want? The headline. Now, it doesn't need further analysis. But here's the thing. I want to bring it to your story, though, because not so long ago, Donald Trump, same tactics. As I said, he has a few moves. He sued you for $300 to $500 million. He sued you for, made all of these outrageous claims, defamed you, but did it through a legal document so he could try to hide behind it and go, well, I just put it in a legal document, so I get all of this immunity.
He can't talk about it. It's part of a lawsuit.
Part of a lawsuit.
But the lawsuit stands on its face for $500 million, yada, yada. How lucky is CBS? I tell you, they're extremely lucky, especially if Trump loses the election. Because what they need to immediately do is exactly what my lawyers, Danya Perry, did on that Florida case. What they immediately need to do is not even to file an answer, move for discovery in lieu of the answer, and then immediately request a deposition, an EBT of Donald Trump. He's not going to show for that, as he didn't for mine. So what did we do? We made a court order requesting that the court demand that Trump appear for the deposition. And the first one we got, and literally two or 3 days before the deposition date, his lawyer now was unable to appear. And so we went back to court, and we got the court again to order a court-ordered deposition of Trump. If not, they were going to hold him in contempt. It's a 4 to 6 month process. It's expensive. It cost a fortune. I still owe money to the lawyers on it. I had set up this whole GoFundMe in order to pay the lawyers. That's a whole nother nightmare for a whole nother show. But this is what he does. So CBS now is going to have to retain it unless they have lawyers on staff to handle a $10 billion claim. The benefit to them, knowing, especially if Trump loses this campaign, if he loses the presidential election, not only will they end up getting him, as they did on mine, the opportunity to dismiss the case, but they could potentially sue him for malicious prosecution. But they're going to have to do that before he ends up dropping the case, because if he drops the case, then there is no action that they can bring against Trump for fees.
You know, your process, correct. Your process was, I remember, so Donald Trump files the case and you're like, look, this is frivolous, but sit for a deposition, Donald. So I will test your allegations. You've got your headline that you wanted. Now we're in court.
Yep.
Show up at your deposition. Donald Trump then says, I'm too busy that day. We need to move it. Okay, move it. Let's take your deposition. I can't make it that day. Okay, I'm not going to be fooled again. You go to court. You say, court, order him to sit for a deposition. He tries to pull out of it right before. The court's basically like, you're going to have to show up. He does it again. The court's like, one more strike and you're out. And then right before he was about to get terminating sanctions against him, Donald Trump dismisses the case against you, but he does it without prejudice so that he can try to claim that, I could bring it again in the future. Meanwhile, your life, as you mentioned, you've got to hire the lawyers. You got to go through this process. You get all of the hate from all of his people again. That gets ratcheted up. Mm-hmm. And he does that to intimidate you and people like you so that you don't criticize him. He picks a number out of thin air, 10 billion, because he knows 10 billion gets a headline, 500 million gets a headline. And then he loses these cases while his lawyer, Alina Habba, runs around, prancing around on stages, gyrating, dancing with MAGA necklaces and MAGA jackets, which is an abomination to our legal system. It is a travesty in all aspects that this sexual abuser in Donald Trump, this freaking felon, this vexatious litigant, and his ilk like Alina Habba and people who support him do this to America. We the people. I mean, look at this. How do they do this to our beautiful country? And I think about Donald Trump changing the American flag and putting the freaking Trump name on the American flag or MAGA flags, our national anthem being changed. I think about all those days at Georgetown Law when I was studying every night, loving our Constitution. And I remember the big cans of Red Bulls. I'd take the 20-ounce Red Bulls and I'd study until 3 a.m. and I'd be reading 60 pages of tort, 60 pages of contracts, 60 pages of property law every night and thinking, how could I better this system? How could I improve this system? And to see Donald Trump and his ilk just take our fucking Constitution and rip it up and throw it to the fucking ground makes me livid. It makes
I still walk
me
around. I still walk
livid.
around with mine. I keep my constant. I keep it by me all the time. You know, especially I was using it. Remember when you brought up a few moments ago?
I just want to add this one thing, Cohen, before I forget. I'm sorry. He files it also in the Northern District of Texas, Amarillo Division, where that hack, Matthew Kaczmarek, who he appointed, the one where, so when he and Elon Musk file lawsuits now, they do it in the Northern District of Texas because they have on there a version of Judge Cannon, this Matt Kaczmarek. No matter, so Trump picks Texas to file this thing in because he knows that he's got a corrupt judge there who does who does his bidding there the same way Judge Cannon does. That is horrific.
So you remember before when you turned around and you said that when Trump was trying to bullshit the American people and show that he had a policy and it was hundreds of pages long and it was in a binder and somebody opened it up and he started to flip through the pages and there was nothing there. It was basically a bunch of blank pages that somebody had put into a folder, into a 3-ring notebook for the sole purpose of, again, lying to the American people. Ben, you know, the other day when you called me and I said I was sort of busy, I didn't want to say anything. I've actually finished now my 3rd book. I'm finished with the manuscript. I am in what I call the super editing stage. And I say that because here's my manuscript. All right. And I'm more than happy to flip through the pages so that you can see that they are all filled in, that this is not a lie like Trump. It just happens to be by my side. And it reminded me so much, Ben, of when you're talking about the lies. People, we're 5 days away. Something I talk about even on my YouTube channel, and every single episode at the end, I end them the same. Please make sure that you are registered to vote. And everybody says to me, yeah, I know. I know I am. I voted before. I'm fully registered. I don't know why it's happening, but it is. I've had more people come to me and say, I can't believe I went onto the site and I'm not there. I had to re-register. Make sure that you are registered. It literally takes less than 60 seconds, more like between 30 to 40 seconds to register yourself. It's that simple. And more importantly, make sure come November 5th that you do your duty, which is to vote. It is every American's obligation. It is your obligation to vote, and make sure that you vote up and down the blue line, the Democratic line, starting with Harris Walz. We cannot let somebody in the White House again who has every intention of wrecking our Constitution, our rule of law, of wrecking our tripartite system of government. I don't say this to be hyperbolic. Ben, join me here. I don't say this to be hyperbolic or to make people scared or nervous. I am stating a fact. I'm stating a fact. If we don't take him out and all of these other idiot Trumpers with him, these sycophants, democracy, our democratic republic as we know it, is going to be shot. And with that, of course, we have to have a 2-finger salute. Goes to all of those sycophants who are continuously, like a Stephen Chung, like a Alina Habba, like a Dan Scavino, like these 2 girls from that Spearmint Rhino or that Amber Rose, and so on.
This one's Peppermint.
All seriously for supporting somebody as absolutely incompetent as Donald Trump is. For the folks that ended up setting up this bullshit, nonsense of putting Trump into a garbage truck and driving him around in circles, fuck you all. It is enough. Steve Bannon, fuck you too. All of them for placating Trump and allowing his worst impulses to become a reality. and affect our lives?
You know, I always have been saying, and I've built this thesis over the past 3.5 years as we've built this network, that what this is really about is normalcy. It's about morals. It's about moral character or moral compass. And it's about democracy. And what you and I and others here at this network have tried to build is a coalition, whether it is Republicans, independents, conservatives, classic Republicans, not the MAGA, independents, progressives, liberals, heck, people who may not even like politics, or maybe you weren't even into politics before starting to watch these programs. That's cool. Before 2020, I wasn't really I should have been more involved in politics. I wasn't really involved in politics until I realized that these bad actors were using politics to screw up my life and screw up my family and my friends and hurt people and kill people. And I knew I had to take action and just do something. And so while the MAGAs are out there right now doing a bunch of bad faith crap, we didn't even get into some of this horrific canvassing stuff that Trump and Musk are apparently doing, that Wired reported in Michigan, putting these like canvassers, luring them to Michigan and basically putting them in the back of like U-Haul cages and telling them that if they don't hit a certain quota, they won't be able to even stay in lodging. And it's a lot of black workers too, who didn't even know they were going to be working for Trump, but they get out there and they're like tricked, according to this Wired article. Like, there's so much bad faith stuff. But what we can control from now until the election is just what we can control, what you can control out there. It's what we can do each and every day. That's obviously vote, but then that's helping a neighbor, a coworker, maybe someone who's disinterested, a family member, a grandkid, a kid, your parents, your grandparents, your cousin, your second cousin, your third cousin, whoever. You, by doing this with this audience, the Midas Touch, I think, is probably one of the most, if not the most powerful community in politics today. You, because of you, all of you who listen and watch. So let's flex. Let's flex and let's get out there right now.
Then my cousin, who's from Toronto, sends me a text message. It's hysterical. It popped up onto my screen. He goes, Trump should keep that vest, the one that he wore when he got into the garbage truck, so that after he loses and he gets convicted, that part of his sentence, of course, will probably be community service. He could be a crossing guard. Or so that when he's picking up garbage on the side of the highway, right, as part of his community service, he doesn't have to go out and buy or ask MAGA to buy him another one of them.
No doubt about it. Let me remind everybody, the Mea Culpa Blue podcast, wherever you get audio podcasts, you search Mea Culpa, subscribe the Mea Culpa podcast. Make sure you subscribe there. Also patreon.com/political beatdown. Can't wait to do that last meeting with all of the brigaders before the election. It's going to be great to just be with you all. It's going to be great answering your questions with Cohen, but I just want to hang with you. So go to patreon.com/political beatdown. I like to spend those days with friends and people who I'm close to, like you, all watching. So please, patreon.com/political.
And join us. It's going to be, listen, you get to hear me raw and unfiltered as you do here. I want to be very clear about something too, Brigaders, because we're going to talk about where I think this election ultimately goes and why I truly believe that Kamala Harris will be our 47th president of the United States. So hopefully we'll see you on our patreon.com/political beatdown. And please, again, make sure you go, if you haven't already, go to YouTube, go to the Michael Cohen Show, sign up. We are on our journey, which is like a rocket ship, to 250,000 subscribers. Appreciate you very much and love you all. Happy Halloween.
Thanks, everybody. Hit subscribe here. Go to @the Michael Cohen Show YouTube channel. Support our sponsors. The discount codes and the links for those sponsors are in the description. So so check them out. Appreciate you. Love you. Stay strong. Democracy will win. Democracy will win. Shout out Brigaders. Shout out Midas Mighty.
Boom.